And welcome to my panelists. Thank you so much, Mr. Jain, Mr. Sil. I can see Mr. Vijay Kumar has also joined us right now. And of course, Mr. Madan. Thank you to all of you for your time. Thank you to our delegates. I am Noor, the Group Editorial Director at BW Businessworld. Finance is not my core subject. I am going to be a hardcore student over here today. I have to say the team that's working on BW CFO World has worked really hard on the forum, a part of which meant I needed to do my homework really well. So we are set on what goes ahead. Our topic is easy but simple and complex at the same time because it's about financial reporting, especially in the time of digitization. It should have had been simple. However, courtesy volume, courtesy processes, courtesy everything coming from everywhere, is actually quite complex. So I'm hoping that it's a varied mix of background over here. Everybody will be able to chip in, hopefully, some of their experiences on what they are doing in their companies right now to kind of get this right, to identify the right challenges, and also tell us the opportunities that this has brought to them. So I want to dive right into it. From what I understand, and now anybody can correct me, as I said, I'm the student, because of what we saw specifically in the last year, but also ahead of that, when it was all about digitization, digital first, volume became a massive challenge as everything started moving to online or digital, which brought the challenge of scale and from a complexity perspective. Now, of course, that's the challenge side of it. I hate the words emerging tech, but it also meant that there was an opportunity for a more granular analysis or for more information flowing in, for more trends identification, or hopefully mitigating some risk wherever it could have. Now, I want to understand the characteristics that today qualify efficient financial reporting for the modern head of finance management, what have you. Now, who wants to go first? It's an all boys panel, so I can't do ladies first. That's always a safe way to do it. Definitely want to do it alphabetically, but I would think I will go with Ankush anyway. How do you qualify it?
Yeah, thanks, Noor. First of all, good afternoon to everyone, to all the panelists and everybody watching this program. Thanks for having me here. Yeah, I think you're right that business models, the economic ecosystems, the external environment is all changing rapidly, and it needs an efficient reporting systems. Not only the volumes are increasing, but it is becoming even more complex as we go by. So in terms of efficient reporting, it has taken even more important, even more important arena now than ever before. In terms of reporting, I believe that all the ERPs which we have, the modern ERPs, are very capable of delivering your reporting. But what I am actually keen, not the past reporting, that would anyway happen, but what am I going to forecast through our ERP models, through our digital efforts. I should be able to know what my financials would be at the beginning of the month rather than seeing them at the end of the month. I think that's, for me, is extremely critical. Why? So that we can plan it. We can highlight exceptions to the business. We can drive then changes proactively rather than reactively. I think that, for me, is more critical. So I should be able to tell my operations team, our procurement team, our sales team, our brand teams, our regions team, that look, this is what you need to correct, because I can see some trends which are not going in what we are expecting. So we are more forward looking, and I think that's imperative. And therefore, your existing ERPs needs to be integrated, which I think with forecasting simulation models. And once your ERP talks to them, then you will really harness and leverage the driving of business which finance should be able to do. I think I would probably leave it at here.
Perfect. Excellent point as well. Forward looking, and of course you left us with an action point of integration with forecast stimulation. Anybody who wishes to add to that, and then we will build on this conversation. Mr. Madan, do you want to take it?
Sure. See, I like to put it in the larger context. The role of the finance community has changed over a period of time. We're no more a bean counter. We are the one community which has a bird's eye view of the entire operations of the company, all the interlinkages upstream as well as downstream. And we also are trained to watch the economic environment as well as the competition. Now, as Ankush said, we need to be able to forecast, catch the trend. A trend is your friend. So the earlier I catch that trend, the better it is. I can go and tell my sales guy, who will rely on me now more than ever before. In the olden days, sales and finance were like North Pole and South Pole, but now we kind of help each other. We actually enable each other, and efficient, predictive, real-time, on-demand reporting, not just for finance, but for the last guy in the company, is the order of the day. So the sales guy himself should be able to see, for example, compare the product line sales year on year, quarter on quarter, month on month, try and predict, is this model coming up for a renewal? Is the sales trend declining? Should I give a heads up to my R&D team to start developing on a new version? What is the customer expecting? Feed that information back to the R&D guys. So it's a complex web. And for that, we need to have, as I said, real-time, on-demand, end-to-end business reporting. So the ERP does a good job, but we also have to enable other systems that are truly integrated and give a predictive model. For example, for the first time I get an email asking for a quote, I should be able to predict that at what rate will it fructify as a deal, how will it impact my gross margin, how will it impact my net margin, and most importantly, cash. So all these have to be integrated and be available to everybody, not just for finance. That's my endeavor, that's my passion. I want to make everybody a finance guy, and so that my role becomes a lot easier.
Perfect.
The seat at the table which I have has to be used to be able to predict, to be able to nudge folks, to be able to show a trend.
So the sales team continues to be North Pole, South Pole with people like me from the editorial team. But I love how you kind of centralize finance into that, and I kind of painted a bigger picture of the role that it can play, or the role that reporting, accounting reporting can play across teams. Anybody wants to build on that? Shall we take this thread and just add to it? I saw Kaustav really nodding. Did you want to add something?
Yes, of course. I think what Mr. Madan and Jain said, I think I can add on to it. Today, the finance is just not a support function or kind of a team who is just reporting the figures on a kind of a post-mortem basis. So rather, I should say that the finance is basically the business partner today. So all kind of decision making, the financial information being used, and providing the real-time information not only to the sales, everybody within the organization, starting from the person who is doing the purchase, who is doing the production. So for everybody, providing them the right information at the right time, always kind of add value to the organization. So I can pick up one quick example onto it. Sandvik is basically a equipment manufacturer and seller. So we have factories. So earlier what we used to do, that every morning somebody used to download something from the ERP and then prepare something and give it to the production guy to analyze, okay, what you have done wrong yesterday. We changed that during the pandemic. So we introduced Power BI and we link it to the ERP. So we're on a kind of a real-time basis, along with some graphs, statistics and everything. So it's pop up into the production manager screen. So we put a screen in the production floor. So where every activity, as soon as the production guys are doing, that get popped up there. So if there has done a kind of a wrong rejection, or if they have done something wrong in the production process, which is having a financial impact, gets captured and gets populated, and it's a real-time basis. So that's really add value to the organization. So that help us to reduce a lot of cost. And when it comes to the ERP and technology, so definitely today we are not just limited with a good ERP. So there are a lot of things, I think, as a finance professional, we need to kind of explore and we need to see how those things can add value to the business. I talk about Power BI. It's a excellent tool. I mean, it can be linked to any kind of database. So it's not only for any ERP, it can be linked to any database. Apart from that, I think optical character reading or OCR technology is very relevant nowadays. I mean, that reduce a lot of time processing hard copy documents, as well as, I mean, it gives a kind of an accurate processing of the documents as well. We implemented bot technology quite a kind of a big way, where, say, for example, we automated the thing, say, for example, the customs bill of entry. So we automated it, and then whenever it's coming to a specific mailbox, the bot is converting into an Excel and forwarding it to the accounts guy to do it further processing. So in that way, using those technology actually helping us to do the process better, do the process on time, and of course, we can give the real-time output to the production guy, to the sales guy, to the quality guy, to kind of for their use and for their corrective action. So as I said, that nowadays finance is a business partner instead of just a support function, how it has been kind of treated earlier.
Perfect. Vijay sir, it has come to you right now.
So thanks, Fathima. In fact, it was a pleasure to listen to all the fellow panelists. Extremely insightful views. Let me just add 2 points to that. One is from an external reporting perspective. Be it engagement with the banks, rating agencies, or the investors and general stakeholders at large. I just want to borrow from what Ankush mentioned. In fact, I'm seeing this directional shift over the last few years, where there's a very clear expectation that predictive information should be made available. Historical is good. Accurate historical information is welcome, and it is actually expected as a bare minimum you are supposed to do. It's not considered. Giving accurate historical information is not treated as a value add which you're doing. So people are expecting you to give that predictive information. So when it comes to the external environment, I still see many organizations hesitating on giving financial reporting, including the traditional annual report, whether it's the director's report or the MD&A which people give. Many people still have hesitation in giving information which is useful to a user of financial statements, which will help them to predict about the company in the future. I think entities should come out of such hesitation, because historical information is over, dead and gone. It doesn't help anybody for decision making. What will help for a shareholder, for a mutual fund, or for any investor or a banker is more and more of predictive insights. Let me give a very simple example, Fatima. In today's context, all of us are not interested in distance between place A and place B. We are more interested in, if I leave today evening at 5 p.m., how much time it will take. If I leave at 7 p.m., how much time it will take. So people want that predictability. As a DNA, people have that expectation. I think finance professionals should evolve to take that bet and build capabilities of giving that predictive information. In fact, Ankush so beautifully put it, but I think he put it in the context of internal stakeholders, but it's important to do it for the external stakeholders, because they are the guys who actually give you the money and they're betting on your capabilities. That's one. The second, I just want to pick up from what Kaustav mentioned. Even in our organization, as what Madan was mentioning, we are doing a lot of integration between the ERP, financial data, and non-financial data. Like, for example, in the CRM, you have these trouble tickets which come in. So we're trying to do a lot of that integration, and the ability to give insights, translating non-financial information into financial numbers. Like, if you get so many trouble tickets, if you reduce it, this is the impact on the P&L. So the ability to convert that non-financial into financial number, easy to understand, is the second directional shift I'm seeing. And I'm seeing organizations evolving. So those are my 2 thoughts on this.
I love it. But I have to say, every time we talk about finance or as a unit, as a department, as a function, caution, precaution, multi-caution, multi-levels of caution, they all become the second set of words. So especially because of what Vijayji has said right now, which is share more, do not hesitate. Or, try and the external stakeholders, what you want to talk to people outside your division about. When you say external stakeholders, does that also mean like partner companies or just still within the company but different departments?
I'm talking about outside the organization.
Well,
basically, bankers, credit rating agencies, investors, the large group of investors who are there, or partner organizations. Some of us have collaborators or partner organizations. Many times I find people hesitant in sharing predictive information. They would like to confine themselves with historical data, accurate, stand by it and all. I know when you predict, you are likely to go wrong, but historical data doesn't add value. It's not helping anybody. So we have to build capabilities for getting prediction as good as possible. As Ankush mentioned, organizations are focused on giving it internally, but internally it's fine. But these outside guys have also put money. They also require that information. No, we can't deny that. I think organizations have to evolve to that level.
Lekin sir, you're not just talking directional shift, you're talking mindset shift of your community, which is a very tough community to crack, by the way.
I know.
If we got you people to agree to our suggestions and proposals, we go and celebrate. It's like that. Anybody has a take on this? How can this direction shift? So I am in agreement that, this kind of evolution curve probably puts finance in the trajectory that Samirji mentioned earlier. All the panelists actually alluded to it, which is the big picture finance central to the company, becoming more of an engine than like a controller or like a strategic controller, but still a controller of some sort. How can we push this mindset shift forward? Some steps. Anybody can take this. I think we're coming to Ankush ji only. Everybody said, as Ankush said.
Thanks. No, I think a lot of good points, trend is your friend. And Mr. Kaustav said that. And
Samir.
Mr. Samir said.
Samir said, trend is your friend. Yeah.
Trend is your friend.
I say Samir.
Correct. Okay. And big mindset change. I think that's a paradigm shift, I would say. Yes, we all share, internal forecasts, internal P&L management with internal stakeholders. And coming back to sharing it with discussing it in some forums with external stakeholders is an excellent, I think, mindset and paradigm shift. This will, I think, help in two ways. One, obviously, you may get an external perspective. Even your external stakeholders will add value, which probably you are missing. You are confined to your own internal management, you have your own views, etc. But it may so happen that your investors, your bankers, sometimes even your vendors or customers may give you certain insights, which would definitely be useful to you. And then you can build on, then you can improve on your predictive capabilities, your insights, which can help you take better decisions, I think. So it's a change in mindset. You have to be cautious that given the regulatory environment you operate in, how much level of information actually can be shared, because it is more predictive. Not only that, then, once you operate in a listed environment, then it has to be also broad-based, because it can't be very specific to a specific set of individuals, which are generally more broad-based. So you have to have a perfect balance, and in that balance, I think if it creates a win-win opportunity for an organization where you also get to learn from what external environment is thinking, and then they can add value to you, and vice versa, which will help everybody at large. So why not? I think it's a good question, and I think let me start also pondering about it.
External reporting is a must, but I think what we do is we do it in a very, very one-to-one format. Like we have an analyst day, and the analyst comes out and they come out and ask you questions. In fact, what I've learned from the analyst is unbelievable. The way they look at it is something which I need to learn. Every time they do end up surprising you. And the best part in today's world is that if you are operating in one industry, the shareholders are more or less common. So they're trying to nudge you on a certain aspect. We can only survive if we are, in the top 3, right? I mean, if you're number 4, then you're pretty much out of the game.
So if you're in telecom, number 3 is out of the game, clearly.
Well, yeah. So the world is converging, number 2. So, but generally speaking, India is a competitive market. So let's not talk about just India. But what I've learned from the analyst community is unbelievable. And my top investors, when they come and question us, there's always a learning. Whether they're nudging you, they're giving you a pat on the back, or they're telling you that this is the mirror, please look into it. So external focus is a must, but we have to be slightly careful not to disclose everything in the MDA or annual report, but have an open, honest, heart-to-heart chat with your top, say, 25 shareholders, with all the analysts. Learn, unlearn, and relearn. It's the world is changing so fast. The business models are changing so fast. Like, for example, pay for use. Now, nobody wants to buy a capital equipment. Everything is pay as you use, right? Now, how fast you are is the only thing is going to help you. Earlier there were 2 types of companies, big and small. Now they're only fast and slow. You can be a very big company yet be fast. You can be a very small company yet be slow. So be fast, even if you have to fail fast, unlearn, relearn. Keep the dialogue open, especially with external stakeholders, like Mr. Vijay said. I fully agree with him, whether it's bankers, auditors, shareholders, even your competition, your associations like ALDA or whatever the industry associations. Go, share what you can, learn, and not just internal, but also external focus. That's the new mantra.
Right, perfect. Any points, anybody that wanted to kind of raise over here? I did want to broad base the discussion a little bit more. All of you are pretty much in agreement on a lot of things, that of course there are changes, more changes need to happen, more fundamental level changes need to happen. Everybody needs to play in the sandbox a little better from the sound of it. We will recap this a little later. The reason I said I want to broad base this is, especially in the pandemic, and especially that, the kind of conversations that we're seeing with ESG, for example, and the fact that there is expectation. Ankush ji spoke a little bit about regulatory environment and what you need to comply with right now. But there are expectations that because of these changes in the external dynamics, financial reporting will also have to comply with a little bit more. And there could be certain concerns on what you need to do or will be asked to do, and what you can really do, especially when people are talking about impact transparency, for example. Now, I wanted to get a gauge from you. How are you seeing the road ahead? What are probably some changes in the external factors that will end up having an impact on the way you currently are moduled for any kind of financial or accounting reporting? Anybody wants to take it? Vijay, I think this one we'll start with you.
Yeah, no, perfect, fine. So, see, my view of one shift which is already happening is the focus towards sustainability reporting. And at SEBI's level, they call it business responsibility and sustainability reporting. They initially made it mandatory for top 500 market cap, then 1,000. But I'm seeing companies other than those also volunteering in that space. The reason is, even in the case of private equity investors, unlisted companies where they're private equity investors, one of the terms in the term sheets typically talk about what are your sustainability practices? What are your sustainability reporting practices? How is your business strategy aligned to the sustainability goals? So I see that as a substantial shift in terms of reporting. And I come across some finance professionals having that thought leadership and embracing sustainability reporting also within them. I see some of them staying aloof and saying that it's more to do with achieving some sustainability goals, leave it to the business organizations. So my view, this latter approach will not work. The finance professionals are likely to become redundant if you are not going to embrace sustainability reporting as part of overall corporate reporting. The way I see is financial reporting will become corporate reporting, which will have financial and sustainability as two components of corporate reporting. So that's the direction I'm seeing, Fatima.
Very interesting. Very interesting. You can call me Noor, by the way. My name is Noor. As long as I'm calling you correct, it is Vijay only, right? There's an MP for that.
Yeah, MP is my initial. You can call me Vijay. You can call me MPV. Fine. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Anybody wishes to add anything to that? So he made a very valid point. I love the point. In fact, he's actually taking us through another directional shift, which is about this financial plus sustainability coming under corporate reporting. Anybody else seeing trends like that, thoughts like that?
I think maybe if I can just add on, while Mr. Vijay has beautifully articulated it, and he has actually said that sustainability and reporting, financial reporting would actually turn into corporate reporting. And it is even better, and the trends are very good. Why? Because more than numbers, when you get into these sort of corporate reporting, which has business insights, which has insights about organizations, this will only give what organization is thinking about, what is its strategic direction apart from numbers, and what is it doing about ESG, environment, so sustainability and governance, which are very, very important in years to come, because next generations will only either blame us or be proud of us the way we do this. One important thing will happen once that as an organization is supposed to report on it, then the level of consciousness will only increase, which means the efforts will get into the right direction. Otherwise, things, they remain as buzzwords, they will remain in the ear. But once as an organization, and at least to start with thousands of organizations, that you are supposed to do this, then there'll be focused and concentrated efforts towards it. So I think the government has taken a right step in ensuring that.
All right, very cool. Samir, I thought you were trying to say something, but you're on mute. Were you trying to say something?
I was, sorry. Yeah. So I think, the whole ecosystem is interlinked. I think sustainability is the way forward. We have to report it, as Vijay and Ankush said. It's the same old story. It's the business model. The whole business model itself is changing. I keep a very close tab of all the new generation companies which are coming up in the space where Aligent operates, because they're the ones who are coming up with innovations, and most of them are sustainable innovations. So just keep a tab of how the business models are changing. You will end up adopting newer models which are far more sustainable. Like Aligent, the company where I work, is a life sciences and a biotechnology company. In about 5 to 7 years from now, you will not have just paracetamol for your headache. There'll be a separate medicine for a headache, which will be a specialized paracetamol. And there's already trials on that. So just make sure that your business model is current. You're adopting newer business models. You're seeing the operating environment, and you will be following sustainable businesses. And of course, reporting will happen. I think the regulators will make sure that you do the reporting, but never lose sight of business models changing. They're changing like so fast you'll be out of business. It's unbelievable how business models are changing. And the good thing is all new business models are sustainable ones. They use less energy, they're more focused, they don't waste resources, and the future is good. Just remain in business.
Just remain in business. I want to now take this to people. Now, one of the things that a lot of what we saw last year was reskilling, so that all of your current newer formats of reporting or any kind of new tech that was available could have been intelligently and to its fullest potential be deployed so as to achieve all the wonderful things that all of you gentlemen have been speaking about so far. Now, from a people standpoint, current workforce, the kind of people you're looking to hire, what is the kind of skill sets that kind of fits in this company that you're talking about, where finance is very central? We are talking about a big game. You're talking about new kind of a mindset, open, more sharing, easy, faster learning mindset. What skill sets are going to fly? Kaustav, this is coming to you.
Yeah, thanks. So, Yeah, I mean, that's really an interesting point. And I think one more shift is also happening is that nowadays the government is moving from, I mean, as the corporates are also introducing a lot of technology, a lot of tools. So similarly, government is also empowering itself. So today, if you really see the GST, customs, all those authorities are quite advanced with their IT tools, and then they are collecting the transactional information of their own. So I think there is a shift is also happening. So 10 years back, if I look, so government was more into, I mean, the collecting the information from the corporates or from the business entities. So nowadays, government is already having the information, and then they are trying to analyze this transaction whether it is fits within the ambit of the law. So the shift of government looking into the business or looking into the corporate houses has changed. So they don't want to see the completeness of transaction declared by any entity. Rather, they look into how this transaction fit within the legal framework. So I think when we look into the talent who should work, I mean, who need to acquire for, or we need to kind of get from the market to, I mean, the focus should be to see that whether the person is good enough to analyze the transaction with respect to the laws. It's not just only to do the accounting and fit the transaction on the portal or something like that. So, I mean, more than that, the person need to analyze the transaction with respect to the applicable laws, and then also reach out to the sales guy, production guy, or whoever it is, I mean, and explain how he should do the transaction. So I think there is quite a kind of a partnering role finance has to play going ahead. I mean, today also, I mean, we are playing it. I think going ahead, it will be more, we'll be more into it that we need to analyze any transaction, and we need to kind of guide our operational people how to do the transaction. So this is something I believe, I mean, when we look for the talent, so we will really kind of try to see the person is having that capability to understand as well as deliver it back to the operation team.
Got it. Any other external points, gentlemen? Anything at all that you advise that, I was going through the list of delegates morning today. Apart from senior leaders, we actually had a lot of people which appear to be more on the mid-management level as well that's listening to us today. Anything that you would like to give them as advice to keep in mind when they are planning for or in their every day-to-day reporting? Anything? It could even be something as simple as cybersecurity, for example, but any other advice?
Maybe not from a day-to-day perspective, given the profile of the fellow panelists and opportunity of such a large platform like that of Businessworld. I want to use this more for some thought leadership suggestion. What I would encourage, particularly if the middle managers who are listening, who obviously are leaders of tomorrow, and tomorrow is not like 20 years away, a few years from now, is that for all organizations, there are lots of intangibles which have a value. Yeah. And these intangibles are not accounted in the books. Simple logic, Noor, is that what is measured gets monitored. So what happens is in organization, let's say organization like Dabur. So their entire balance sheet has assets at historical cost, written down over time. The book values are so small, but the value of the organization is probably 4 times book value, 5 times book value. That delta, which is so huge, is not appearing anywhere in the balance sheet. It is not there as part of day-to-day internal reporting or even quarterly board reporting. Nobody is monitoring. Even take Businessworld for that matter. It's not sitting anywhere in your balance sheet.
You're right.
You realize it only when the transaction is happening. But as senior leadership in every organization, we are responsible to ensure that we manage that intangible, not accounted, but it's our asset. We manage that intangible and we keep increasing the value of that intangible. And that intangible is contributed from multiple things. It could be value of your human resource asset. It could be value of your customer contracts for the future. It could be value of some of the brands which you are developing, but for books purpose, you have actually expensed of whole thing. So all of those intangibles, we need to find models in which we can value it periodically, run it internally at least quarterly or annually in board meetings, depending on organization's own priorities, so that the board members and the senior leadership team knows that 2 years back, these were the 5 intangibles which had so much value. Today it is here, and I want to achieve there. So what are those 4 or 5 things I need to do to push intangible A up, intangible B up? Maybe there are some intangibles I need to retire as well. So that's a huge strategy itself. So I think I would request particularly younger minds who have opportunity to learn some of these new concepts, interact with their peer community, to bring that into the center table of discussions with their CFOs and the board members.
Awesome. Samir, you want to add? Believe it or not, we're on last 7 minutes. How did that happen?
One of the points I like to say is I'm on a mission to take finance as a profession to every employee of the company.
Yes, I got
Finance is not meant only for finance folks. So I have to make it easy. I have to set up my processes and system so that they understand it. For example, the sales compensation. If a sales guy is incentivized more to sell a higher margin product, a latest product, he puts in more of effort on that side. So to make it more all pervasive is one of the things which every organization should work upon. Because, in a few years from now, finance and IT will become 2 sides of the same coin. It will be very difficult to differentiate between finance and IT. Leave aside the reporting perspective, which, will be taken care of. So that's one of the skills which I think we as finance professionals have to impart to everybody in the organization. And then, have them look at it from a basic finance lens perspective, and it make the job of sustainability of the business a lot easier. So that's something which I think is very, very important.
Very, very cool. We have last 5 minutes. So Kaustav ji and Ankush ji, I'm going to let you say your last words over here for this session. Any big takeaway or any final advice that you would like to add?
No, in fact, a lot of good learnings for me, hearing from the fellow panelists. I'll probably like to build on a couple of points. As has been said, that finance, we want to take it all pervasive. Just to build on that, we also, in Dabur also, what we feel is that we want to take finance from more transactional or more routine, accounting function to something which is a business partner, something which is very agile, which enables business to take risks, and which is business, and as a finance, I should only be thinking business. When I enter into office, when I leave office, I should only be thinking business, and therefore, how can I impact business? More, and then couple of more points from people perspective. When we want to build this organization, we want to hire people who at every level are better than you are. Who you think can be better than you are 5 years from now, or maybe can be able to take your job after 2 years. So therefore, hire people who have innovation, who have passion, who have energy, who are risk takers, who are extremely agile, who are innovators, and will therefore take you to the next level. And third important thing is always think where you want to be and where you want to take your function or your business 5 years from now. How do you want to see it there? And therefore, in that endeavor, build your processes, build your capabilities to ensure that you reach that dream of where you want to be 5 years from now, at least. I think I'll leave it that.
Perfect. Thank you. Kaustav?
Yeah, I think, to me, the word innovation is very important. And I look it in that way, that innovative way of doing things. So being from a kind of a manufacturing organization, innovation being defined differently. But when I look into the finance, when I look into my team, or when I look into the finance community within the organization, so I always say, try to find out the innovative way of doing things. Do it smartly, do it more effectively, and do it on time. So I think for the finance professionals who are onto the mid-level or who are joining into the finance profession, so I think these thing they need to think about it, that how they can apply their knowledge, how they can find out the way of doing things more effectively and more correctly. So I think that's very important in the coming days as well. So we need to kind of find out more effective way or more innovative ways to doing things, and then adding value to the organization.
Thank you so much. You were such a lovely panel. I keep joking with my team that if you're not taking enough notes, that means you really get the subject. If you're taking enough notes, that means you did not completely get the subject, but it was interesting. And this is what my notepad looks like. Thank you to all of you. I use multiple pens for things to stand out, especially so that I could summarize it for the benefit of the audience. I have 1 minute to do it, so I'll go really fast. But we started off by laying the foundation at two specific levels. One, of course, that move on from what's already happening, current form of ERPs, whatever is working on, integrate for newer forms, because real-time predictive seem to be the magic words that everybody wanted to use. What has happened, everybody knows. There's no point in giving information if it doesn't help in decision making. So everybody alluded to that. The second pillar that was coming parallelly to this was the bird's eye view. Finance has the bird's eye view. It is central. It can be a part of everything. Everybody should understand reporting, not just the guys in finance. It's become more of a partner than a fighter. Now that I still do not agree with. We fight with them every day, but then real-time on-demand business reporting really came out quite a bit. Advice to everybody is look at the market tools that are there. Don't be hesitant to deploy it. On hesitation, external information to be shared with external came up. I thought that was a revolutionary point, again, because of my own perception of the finance team. But this is an open-minded leadership, and I love the way all of them agreed that there's learning. Investors can shine a mirror on you, share nuggets, be careful of what you're sharing within the regulatory environment, but share more, because that's where future value addition will come in. So I love those points, gentlemen. Thank you so much for that. Business model changing was a point that I again want to draw everybody's attention to, simply because sustainable, which became an important word for everybody once again, was what came up. Sustainability reporting is happening, will happen, even if the government is not asking for it, people are doing it. And as a point Ankush ji mentioned, and Vijay ji really gave him a double thumbs up, was that when you report it, it is monitored. When you monitor it, or when you are, there's a level of cautiousness that increases. Once the level of cautiousness increases, then of course that function itself makes you future fit, because this is a function of the future, of shared value. Business, social needs, and governance, they all kind of need to come together. Everybody knows that. So be prepared. Of course, they spoke about what's happening within their companies. So automation, bots, they're all doing everything. So anybody who is not already understanding this language, as Samir said, that you're fast or slow, or you're kind of gone, you will become kind of gone if you haven't understood that part of it. That part even I understood, actually. So really, this directional shift is something that I'm hoping to God, as Vijay ji articulated it and everybody agreed with it, the paradigm shift, I'm hoping to God that does happen, so that finance does come to the level where it makes sense for everybody. Did I miss out anything, gentlemen? You can go for it now. Did I miss any important thing that I should have put in it? Do not be hesitant. I put it. Finance is equal to business partner. I've said it. I think I've covered it. Yeah.